Hi, it's Chef and Builder Janie Piddleton, and we're back in the kitchen. Yes, we're finally back in the kitchen. Oh my goodness, we've been so busy this fall. This summer and fall, we've just been extremely busy. And today, I'm going to teach you guys how I make my communion bread. And remember, communion bread is an unleavened bread. Unleavened bread, okay? So you can make this at home, you can take communion at home, and as a matter of fact, we're going to do that today for you on camera as well, so that you can take communion with us. I think you'll like this version. It has a little bit of honey in it. Sweetens it up just a little bit, and like I said before, everybody, all the parishioners seem to like it, and it is Sunday morning, and it is time to get making it so that I can have it for the day. Because today is communion. It's also our Lebanon Civil War reenactment day, so we're going to be heading over there to do the filming and the photography of that. I was supposed to do it yesterday, Saturday, but unfortunately I had a migraine headache, so that didn't happen. So we're going to head over there today. So I've got a lot to do. It's a very busy Sunday, so come on and let's get started. Okay, as per usual, this is a busy Sunday morning. My cabinet broke when I pulled out the I had one of my little metal pull-out drawer things here, and the whole shelf broke. And everything came flowing out on me. So hubby is over here trying to get that fixed. Just when you think you got things flowing well, right? I'm going to hand mix this, and what I like to use is like to use like a big old meat fork. And then I like to get in there with my hands. We're going to need 2 cups of flour, just all purpose. You can put, you can replace about a half a cup of this with whole wheat flour if you like. We're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of honey, and this is just my recipe for it. This is something that I've came up with over the years. This is what everybody seems to like. You're going to need 3 tablespoons of milk, a heaping tablespoon of brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of regular sugar, and if you'd like, instead of the flour, you can also use this box mix of Glutino or another brand of Food Pantry gluten-free bread mix. This doesn't have any leavenings in it, so you just leave out the yeast. Okay. So if you want to go gluten-free for the church, then you can do this as well. We, however, are not doing that today. And also, they make some simple biscuits like this. I picked these up for $2, and you can get some sort of biscuit like this as well. It's just a honey-flavored biscuit, and it has no leavening in it. So if you're in a hurry, you can go this route. But today, we're just going to make regular all-purpose. We're not going to make them gluten-free today. Now, for an oil, we have several choices here. We do have the honey in it, which is kind of a softening in it. You can even use maple syrup if you don't have honey. But here you can use grapeseed oil, vegetable oil, or whatever. If you want to keep it light, you can use grapeseed oil. But today I'm going to be using 3/4 of a stick of butter, about 6 tablespoons. And I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of this honey flavored butter from Land O'Lakes bread. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's get started. Oh, by the way, we're going to preheat our oven to 375 degrees. Alright, so we're going to mix our dry ingredients together first here. I'm just going to get a small whisk here. So that's our 2 cups of flour. And I keep my flour in the freezer so it's cold, and it doesn't matter since this is unleavened bread. That's fine. I don't have to bring it to room temperature first. I mean, you can if you want to, not necessary. Just going to run the whisk through here and kind of break this up a little bit since it has been in the freezer, and that kind of makes that a little bit more into a bread flour when it's been whisked. We're going to add our 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That's a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're going to add our 1/4 cup of white sugar. We're going to add our heaping tablespoon of brown sugar. Alright, now this is where we've added our dry ingredients. Now this right here is where we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut in the butter. And I just put this in the microwave and I softened it just a little bit. Might have got a little bit too soft. We're just going to put it in little chunks in here just like this. Like I said, I might have got a little bit too soft because I was in a hurry this morning, but there you go. And you can put in the whole stick and not put in the honey butter. But I really like the taste of the honey butter. So I'm going to put in a couple of drops of that as well because I really like that. But the regular butter, not the margarine, but the regular butter helps this to set up properly. So, there we go. Can you see that okay? Now, when I usually make this, I'm usually praying. I like to pray while I'm making my communion bread. It just, when you make communion bread for your church, or you're the one that makes it, I've heard ladies tell that they're the ones that made their communion bread for decades. And then the young girls will take over if the older women think they can't do it anymore. And I just feel humbled by being the one to make the communion bread. It's my thing, you know what I'm saying? I really like doing it. As a matter of fact, I was the first person in my family that I even knew that ever even made communion bread. But I like taking communion even at home. I just think that it's an important thing. We have our online ministry, and this is what this is going to be for today. Well, part of it. And you can freeze these loaves, by the way, for up to 3 to 4 months. And they still be good and fresh when you thaw them out. Just sit them out of the freezer for about, when you wake up in the morning, get ready for church or ready for your communion, whatever you're going to be doing that day. Okay, so you're just cutting it in like you would a pie crust. Okay, so then we got the butter all nice and cut in. Sorry, my husky loves to play in the morning, and she got one of my dryer balls out of the dryer. Okay, so it should be like really coarse, lumpy cornmeal. That's what this should be like. Awesome, right there. Okay, now we're going to add in our 2 tablespoons of honey. The honey butter would be enough, but I like mine flavored with honey. And again, you're only getting a little bitty piece of this. When Jesus broke unleavened bread, it wasn't a little wafer. So I've got my 3 tablespoons of milk here. I'm going to fluff in the honey here just a little bit. I'm going to blend that in next. Yeah, that's good enough. I'm going to make a couple of wells here, just like this, just like I would for a pie crust. And I'm going to drizzle in a little bit of this milk. I just need enough milk to hold this together. Matter of fact, I'm going to keep a little bit out. And I'm just going to use this meat fork, and I'm just going to kind of fluff it just like this. This smells good with the honey. I suppose you could use molasses if you didn't have honey, or maybe a little extra brown sugar. But you know what? You can play with this recipe just like I did, and you can make it what you need it to be. I just need enough milk that this holds together. Okay, just keep fluffing it with the fork, and then start working it like this right here around the bowl. There we go. Just like a pie crust. So this is going to need a little bit more fluid. Okay. And I don't want to put in too much. So that was 3 tablespoons so far. Sorry, my birds are awake, my dog's going. This is mornings at our house. There's another tablespoon. 4 tablespoons now. Let's see how that's looking. And by the way, I'm using lactose-free milk in this. I'm trying to think if there's anything else you really need to know about this. That's about 4.5 tablespoons of milk. I'm going to go for the 5. There we go. Now it's starting to come together. Start out small, a little at a time. See how this is starting to come together? There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bringing this together by hand. So make sure your hands are really clean, and I've scrubbed mine really well. You can wear rubber gloves if you're squeamish. No big deal. Perfect. I'm going to put just a little bit. Oh, this smells so good. I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. Just around the edge of the bowl, so when I'm doing this. So that right there was about a teaspoon of water. Some of these crumbles are still on the bottom here. There we go. Now it's coming together. You want it to come together like a very sticky pie dough. To give yourself an example, if you've ever made pie dough. Oh, this smells so good. And I'm kneading that honey in. So when it first goes in, it goes in kind of, you know, stringy and lumpy. There we go. That right there is perfect. Now I'm going to fold it a few times. Just sprinkle on a little. Kind of roll it in the flour. And then we're just going to knead it a few times, just like this. You don't want to make it tough. So we don't want to add too much flour. And remember, this is unleavened bread. And I find that when I roll this, I'm going to roll this out. There we go. I think we've incorporated the sugar and the honey enough. I think we've softened that enough. There we go. See? This is your texture now. See that? It's a nice soft texture there. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on all sides of it here. Let the doughs relax in that for about 5 minutes. That's plenty of time. I'm just going to cover this up. Like I said, just let this relax for about 5 minutes. Okay, here we've just sprayed a pan with just a little bit, just a hint of either Pam. Here I used butter flavored Crisco, and that gave a little bit more of a buttery flavor. And again, you can make this gluten-free, or you can buy some unraised biscuits, unleavened biscuits as well. I also wanted to show you that the this is called sparkling red grape, and this is what we will be using today, okay, for our thing. We do not drink, John and I don't, but if you want to use wine, you certainly can. Jesus said that John came not drinking or eating. They did not accept him, and then he said that he came drinking wine and eating of meat and things, and they still did not accept him either. So either is fine. We just basically preach limitations. It's clean though. I've had this thing for probably close to 30 years. Probably is 30 years this year since I've had this. All right, just a little bit of flour, not too much, and I'm kind of working it into the pastry cloth here. You can roll this out if you want to. You can draw a circle here of however big you want it. It needs to be big enough that you can get about 30 to 40 pieces per round. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of shape this so I can divide it into thirds. Here's a third. Here's a third. So let's see how I did here. Okay. So just a little bit of flour, not much. My Siberian Husky's in visiting the birds. She goes and says hi to them in the morning, don't you, girl? All right, I'm going to roll this out, giving it little taps and turning it. And I'm going to roll this out to about 1/4 inch thick. And then I'm going to kind of shape it into the round. And you can make this bigger by only dividing the dough in half. Did you get it? Did you find your laundry ball? She got the laundry balls out of the dryer. Kind of shape it, make it round. Mine's kind of lopsided here. You want it to look nice. All right. I'm going to lay it here on the cookie sheet without putting any marks in it. Just going to lay it right here on the cookie sheet. I'm going to kind of reshape it, kind of get it round again. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some cuts in this, okay? You can put a cross in here. What I like to do is so that I can divide it up. You don't want to cut all the way through. And then I wiggle my knife in here, just like this. It's like a little wiggle. Cuts it deep enough that I can break it, and then deep enough that you can see that cross here in the center. Turn it and do the same thing this way. I know I go all out, but there's my cut this way. If you put the effort into it, like I said, this is my time for prayer with the Lord. There we go. And there's a nice cross. And then you can take a cookie cutter. And you can make a round here in the middle. And I just kind of press it in, just not all the way, just enough so you have a place to break it. And then you can give yourself another break here. Remember, this becomes the Holy Sacrament. So, this kind of times it's easier to put your knife down in the flour like this. Oops. Here we go. And then sometimes you can draw another circle out here and then cut more lines into it. So I will do that now. I know I'm being picky. I put a lot of time into this, trust me. I get a lot of praying done when I do this. So now I'm going to draw another line. Well, yeah, I can draw another line here. If you're really, really careful not to mess up that line. Depends on how many people you're expecting at church. And like I said, definitely you want to make these up in advance. I didn't, however, today I wanted it to be fresh for you to see it. And then I'm going to come back through here and I'm going to widen my cross just a little bit again here. So you can see that cross in there. I'm going to put a little more flour on here. All right. Now we're going to do 2 more and we will be right back. Isn't that neat? And you bake these at 375 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes, by the way. A little more smoother on top. See, that's just a nice texture. That honey really makes a difference in this. It really does. And you can make these as thick as you like. Try to keep it round as you can. Guess I didn't divide my dough very good this time, only when you're on camera. Of course, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you got a smaller church, that's fine. That just blends together nicely, just like that. Okay, I'm going to do something a little bit different on this smaller one. Okay. This would have worked a lot better if I kind of shake off, kind of get rid of some of that flour on the bottom. And then here we're just kind of reshaping it again to a round. And if you want to decorate the edges, you can certainly do that as well. Make your own. There you go. All right, we got enough here. Let me get all the flour off this so it doesn't fall into my oven. All right, so now we're going to go bake this in a 375-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. It'll start getting just lightly golden brown here on the edges. And this one's a little bigger than this one, but they should still cook up pretty evenly. I did the minimum time of 15 minutes. Okay, let's see here. Let's do a cross in the middle. I'll bring this down a little bit further like this. This works better if you actually cut it on the, sorry, but that almost looks like a football, doesn't it? Football week, I guess you could make a football. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm not making fun of the Holy Sacrament. Okay, and here we have another one. Put that in the oven. I'm just going to brush them down with just a little bit of butter here. Kind of give them a little bit of a glossy glow. But see how I just got them barely brown here on the edge? This other one's not quite as done as much. Just a little bit better flavor here. And you can even do the little bit of the honey butter here on top as well. You see you got the nice cross here. And you've got it where it's going to break, where you need them to break. And they'll have some good flavor to them. They won't be so dry and nasty. I don't like those paper wafers, do you? Write me down below and let me know what you think of your paper wafers. And write me down below and let me know if you're going to give this a try. Alright, we got one more here in the oven. And that'll be out here in just a minute. But see? It's almost like a big sugar cookie, isn't it? See, it's nice and tender. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove this to a baking sheet. And let that finish hardening up. Let's see if this one's done. Yeah, it's done. And here you have it. Let's see how many this actually made. You could probably break this one into probably 20 pieces. This one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 48 pieces. So I got almost 50 people out of this one right here served, and then probably maybe another 20 or 30 out of this one, because when I break this, it won't break exactly into, into exact size pieces because I didn't score this one. But so if you got a smaller church of maybe 20 to 40 of this works, both of them together, you're getting about 48 out of this one. Anywhere between 30 to 40 to 30 to 50, depends on the size. You don't need anything much bigger than this. It's just the Holy Sacrament. It's just the breaking of the bread, and Jesus took this on Passover, and that's what this is about. It's a remembrance, okay? Anyway, we love you, and we hope you have a blessed Sunday. And remember, today is the remembrance of the resurrection. It's Sunday, so enjoy it. Blessings. So this is Chef Janie with Maranatha. Chef Janie with Maranatha Minutes. It gets confusing. So what do you think? We made the bread. We just had communion. You're supposed to eat a little piece. He's got the whole piece in his hand. This is really good and tender.
Yes, it's very good.
It's sweet. It's much sweeter this time. Much more tender. This recipe is definitely a keeper. I just made this one up. It's unleavened bread. There's no leavening in here. It's got brown sugar and honey. It's very tender. Yeah, I'm very happy with this one. We're just devouring it. But that's what they did at the real Last Supper. They did eat the bread. They were dining, and where do you want us to prepare for it? So he says that. So
yeah, they were having, and that was one event that happened in the midst of it.
See, after the supper, he took the cup. They broke the bread first. So I mean, it was during a meal of camaraderie.
Yeah, it was a remembrance of the Passover, how God had delivered the people from Egypt, and how they ate bitter herbs and they ate unleavened bread because they didn't have time at the Exodus to leaven their bread, and so all of it was a remembrance. And at the end,
when Jews left Egypt out of slavery.
And at the end of the meal, Jesus took the wine and reminded them that about his body and his blood that would be shed for them. And in a real sense, when you see the conflict about what was going on, who's the greatest among us? The kingdom was coming. God promised it, and it did find fulfillment in the church. We are the kingdom of God in the church, and God's kingdom will rule eventually. All the kingdoms of the world, it says in the Bible. So the remembrance, though, they were fighting about who was important, who was the best. And Jesus clearly stated there, this is in remembrance. Look what I'm doing for you. Be willing and able. I'm going to equip you to help and to serve one another, not to be their lords or their masters as the kings of the earth are.
Well, we're off to the Civil War reenactment because I got to go take some pictures and some videography. And I don't want to miss the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock shooting, so if we miss that part, we're going to miss the best part. We might get a chance. Trust me, it takes me a while to edit these videos, so by the time I make one, get it up, so anyway, I'm hoping to have this one up tonight. And then we have a baptismal, all about baptism and how to get baptized and why you get baptized. We have that one, which is it's a fun one. And we have all kinds of videos that we've made. I just got to get them done. I got to get them posted. Love y'all.
Enjoy. Blessings.